All right, hello, welcome. Good morning. This is Premarket Wake Up. My name's Frank. Community's called No More Paper Trading. Self-explanatory. At this point, nobody watches, and this is more of a video journal. I've said that before, but it's all for me. Eventually, one day, I'd like to grow the channel organically. I did try boosting it a bit on Discord or whatever it is, and I got nothing but bots and people trying to sell me stuff. So forget that. Maybe I'll do this for years and never get a real person in here, but I could care less. Anyway, let's get moving. As I go live, let's take a look at the news. Why isn't it working? There we are. Nothing. Whole lot of nothing. The Fed speech at close today at 1400, 1600, 4 o'clock. Besides that, there is nothing. I believe the government is still shut down. Let's check that. Okay, yes it is. And nobody really cares. But we're not going to get any information tomorrow. Yeah, pretty much nothing. I don't care anymore why there's a shutdown or what it means. I'm here to make money off of the charts. Let's take a look at FedWatch tool. We are slightly down from yesterday, and yesterday was slightly down from Friday. Wait, what's today? Yesterday was slightly down from Monday. But still, we're up compared to a month ago. It looks like there'll be a cut in October and December. January's mixed. All right, let's take a look at some headlines real quick. If you have any idea of a better place to find headlines, let me know. I don't get it. So when I first checked it this morning, every article is like, oh, market's down because earnings weren't as good as they thought they were. And then I go to the charts. They say futures down because this, and that. Actually, it was bar chart that was saying that. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, they still say it. Nasdaq futures slip. Well, there's an interesting thing. You can actually look at futures charts yourself. And let's take a look. Doesn't look like they slipped to me. They look pretty flat. So I don't know. I don't know who's pulling the strings behind that one, but Yahoo is pretty positive. We have this article: early U.S. earnings point to best results in 4 years. And right below that, Netflix stock dives after earnings miss. I mentioned in a few days ago, I shorted Netflix. I'd like to tell you that I saw this coming, but I kind of just shorted them because I don't like them. They create crap. There's not one thing coming out on Netflix that's new that I would ever watch. I don't really watch a lot of television, but it's sad. It really is sad. Tesla earnings today. Let's take a look at another news site. I think I like Market Watch. Enter filter. Hilton boosts profits, expectations. L'Oreal. I thought they were bought up a long time ago. Maybe they are. Barclays. Yeah, I don't care. What the hell kind of an article is this? Yeah, I'm not even gonna. AT&T shows good. Did AT&T already release earnings? I thought they were kind of flat. Bar chart said they were crap. Let's take a look at how their stock's doing. That's the daily. It's not going to tell us much. Why the hell am I back in? Excuse me. So this is when they released the earnings. I'm assuming they were seen as positive at first. That's what it looks like to me. All right. I think things look kind of good, but ask me an hour ago, I would have said the opposite. So, heck if I know. But that's the news. I'm not gonna make any determination. I have just this little tiny feeling that stocks are gonna pop at the open. All right, let's take a look at the overnight moves, what happened yesterday, all that. I know I mentioned I wasn't gonna stream today, but changing the schedule. I was not gonna stream today, and then I wasn't gonna do Thursday and Friday. Or wait, I was gonna do Thursday and Friday. Now, I'm here today. Thursday and Friday, no go. Not that anyone cares. All right, let's start with the ES. Mixed would be the word I would call this. Mixed all day yesterday. Mixed since Monday was a banger. Mixed since Monday night. Kind of too afraid to go for current month high. up at 68.12. If you look at RSI on the daily, kind of flat. So for the daily RSI, I don't pay attention so much to the longer term trends because you're very often going to see false flags. That's my opinion. If anyone else has found a better way to read it, let me know. But from yesterday to today, there's not a large drop. And we are turning upwards in MACD. And a reminder that we could not find sellers last week going further down. I would have felt more comfortable with the larger market correction, but we go with what we have. And this is what we've got. Last night specifically, looks like price was able to hold above this. Sorry, I can't stop yawning. This resistance area, which I noted yesterday as well. We actually dipped down into there near the open yesterday, only to find enough buyers to get back out. But this resistance area was formed last Wednesday. Last Wednesday? Yeah, last Wednesday, a week ago. You would call that last week's high? I don't mark that on my chart specifically, but there's something to it. Also, yesterday's close, kind of dancing around it. I don't know what happened at right before midnight. Had the sharp increase. It's really hard to find a pattern in this. Head and shoulders? I think it's pointless to look for head and shoulders in the 5 minute. Too rough. I do triangles work in the 5 minute, that's for sure. And we kind of got a triangle forming here, but not really. Yeah, it's a mess. Going into today, though, I would say look for what happens at yesterday's close as we try to head further up. Definitely yesterday's regular trading hours high, which also happens to be at the top of this resistance area. And then beyond that, like I said earlier, we have current month high. If we go lower, look out for yesterday's low. Which also sits right near previous month's high, which, so you could look at this two ways. Us holding in this holding period, this consolidation, that we're not able to get any higher, so it's bearish. But you can reverse that just as easily. Price does not want to get near or go below last month's high after we've broken above it. And I think that's the narrative I'm going to stick with for now. We'll see what happens if can't find any buyers at the current month high, which also happens to be the all-time high. Pretty sure. Doesn't matter. It's a really insignificant high. That's what matters. All right, let's take a look at the NQ. Very similar song and dance here. NQ looking a little bit different. Instead of breaking the previous month's high, we broke on Monday. What did we break on Monday? Sorry. I would consider that a resistance area formed last week as well. So that'll be significant going in today. That's yesterday's regular trading hours low. It's also the high of last week. So look out for that. The fact that we rejected it could be seen as bullish. Could be. Remember, this isn't financial advice. I'm not qualified for that. Nobody else is either. If we head higher, we definitely have current month high, as well as yesterday's high to look out for. Not much more to say about that. Let's take a look at the Russell. Russell feeling a bit weaker. Just so you know, I'm going between the daily and the 5-minute. Maybe I should. Yeah, let me add that to my to-do list. I want to add a transition when I switch from one to the other. To when I bring the page up, it'll flash it for a couple seconds. That's brilliant. Even though nobody watches, eventually when the bots roll in to watch, the bots can be entertained. Oh, I got rid of my to-do list. Give me 1 second. You like the black screen? Black screen is wonderful. All right, there we are. My to-do list is growing exponentially. A lot quicker than I can check this stuff off. But a lot of them do end up being shit ideas that when I think about it later, I'm like, that is stupid. All right, what would I call this item? OBS, OSB, OBS, transitions. Shouldn't be hard to accomplish. All right, back to markets. Russell not doing so hot last couple days, not holding as good as well, I don't know. We'll call it different. The last 2 days do seem to have fallen a bit more, but it's hard to make that determination. Looking at the overnight, you can kind of see a trend downward. Rejection of yesterday's open, regular trading hours open, and opening range high. Not paying too much attention to the close, but definitely a nice hit. But the fact that price halted right now at yesterday's opening range low and yesterday's regular trading hours low and yesterday's low. It could be positive. I don't know. Let's see if I can see any patterns in the daily. Kind of have a triangle starting here. It's very strange looking though. I don't think that qualifies. I'm going to consider it not qualifying. I'd pay more attention to these key areas. So going into the open, I would say we have previous month's high right above us. But first we got to get through yesterday's opening range high and this level here at 2504 generally. 2505 we'll call it. If we head lower, all we have is this resistance area and then the current last month's close at 2455. Sorry if I'm not calling out these numbers every time. If there is anyone watching and they want me to do that, let me know. All right, let's move on. I want to get this over with. It's painful. The Dow's looking healthy. Yesterday we touched current month high. Bit of a V to get there, which is completely different from the pattern showing in the other equity markets. I don't remember what caused this. I guess some of the business that put out earnings are probably in the Dow. That probably makes sense. I'm going to call that, yeah. But in the overnight, not really paying attention to too much, just kind of dancing around the close. Could have played this mean reversion in the overnight, but I like to sleep. Going into today, I would say definitely look out for yesterday's high if we had higher, but we're stuck in this pile of resistance and support. So expect back and forth for a little while in here. If we head lower and we break out of that, I'd say yesterday's low would be the most important area. All right, gold. There was another example of a BS headline I saw on bar chart. I'm liking that site less and less. I don't know why I subscribe to it. I need it for a certain strategy I'm working on. I should just start developing the strategy and then be done with it because it's a waste of money. Anyway, on bar chart this morning they said gold's recovering. Now, tell me, does this look like gold is recovering? You could maybe make an argument for flat, but I would not call that gold recovering. Let's say they were late. Let's say they meant yesterday. Still, gold's not recovering. I don't understand. Maybe this right here. I would not call that recovery. Especially looking on the daily. Maybe if we pass over yesterday's regular trading hours high. I would call that recovering. But as you can see right now, we are faltering. Key areas to look out for. Well, definitely this pivot point, which we're not really touching quite yet. So we'll see what happens there. Also, yesterday's opening range low. Yeah, the fact that they can say that when we didn't even pass yesterday's opening range low. Whatever. I swear they all just make AI write it nowadays. I bet sites like that are all AI based anymore. Alright, that's enough of gold. Oil. Oil is recovering after this nice little trip downwards. I mentioned the other day this column of consolidation that built up. You can see the blue lines here. And then I should have noticed this breakout. But now I set an alert for myself if price gets back to that lower edge of the column, or even this pivot point here, I might short it for more movement down. That would be considered confirmation of a breakout of this column. I'm sure other people have seen it as well. In the overnight, gold does seem to be recovering. Coming back for looks like a touch on this pivot point here. We'll see what happens there. But if we head higher, about the only thing we got is this area of resistance right above, which was formed on the 15th. The high of the 15th. No big deal. And then beyond that, we just have the other pivot point, and then the bottom of the column, which also happens to be last month's low. If you look at this differently, you might say that the confirmation that this is gonna go further down is right here, when it tried to break down once, failed, broke down again, and then spent days below. But I wouldn't call it yet. Oil can be tricky, which is why I rarely trade it anymore. But let's take a look at the VIX, and then I'm done. I'm out of here. VIX is holding flat. We have not yet come down into the what do I call that? AI Friday, Trump Friday, Tariff Friday, we'll call it. Right here. Whereas before that we were below. We were in this nice, comfortable column of growth, I'll call it. The great column of stonks go up. So we'll see. Volatility gets down below there. That's I would consider that okay. Return to normalcy. I could then start trading intraday. I've barely put in any trades since then because everything is just so touchy. Everyone's touchy. You can see it on StockTwits, which I'll be glad not to have to pay attention to that anymore. I know I could choose not to and just wait till the VIX gets down into this level to continue trading. But we'll see. I've actually made money in the couple trades that I did make during this miss. But I just don't feel great about it. Anyway, that's it. That's all I got. Signing off. Good luck. Goodbye. I will not be here Thursday or Friday. I might put out a video in the afternoon if I have time. Goodbye.